I spent 7 months in jail for trying to protect my GF from a stranger in a closet. About a year ago, my girlfriend Madison and I went to a party. A few hours into it, we snuck off to a closet room for some private time. We were making out when I decided to take a quick bathroom break. On my way back, I heard her scream. I ran to the closet, and what I saw made my blood boil. Some random guy was all over her. She was clearly trying to push him off, fighting him off with everything she had. I didn't hesitate. I punched him hard from behind and kept going until he was out cold. Madison and I left the party immediately. I thought it was over. But the next day, the police showed up at my door. They cuffed me and told me I was being charged with aggravated assault. I tried to explain what had really happened, that I was protecting my girlfriend, but they didn't care. They weren't listening. I was taken away booked and thrown into a cell. Once inside, I called Madison and told her everything. Thankfully, she bailed me out, but the legal mess dragged on for months. When it finally went to court, it didn't go my way. The guy I hit had friends at the party, and they testified against me. They claimed I was the one who started it. Madison testified and explained exactly what happened, that she was being assaulted, and I stepped in to defend her, but it didn't matter. The court didn't believe her. They sentenced me to 7 months in jail. Jail life was soul-crushing. Every day felt like the last. Same walls, same routine. I tried to distract myself with books, but most were torn up or missing pages. Time stretched endlessly. I thought about Madison constantly. I worried about what she was going through and how she saw me now. I hoped she'd wait for me. I hoped I'd find a job again when I got out and that we could rebuild a normal life. Some days that hope was the only thing keeping me together. Then came my first visit. I walked into the visitation room and saw her sitting there. Seeing her was like finally catching sunlight after months of gray. I hadn't let myself expect anything, didn't want to be let down. But there she was, smiling through the glass. We made small talk at first. She told me about a movie she saw, a book she was reading. But something felt off. Her voice was rushed and she wouldn't meet my eyes. She was there physically, but emotionally, she seemed far away. I asked her if she was okay. She said she felt overwhelmed lately. I pressed her, gently asked what exactly was going on. She just said handling everything alone was a lot. I told her I'd make it right after I got out, that I'd take care of her, do everything I could. But she just shook her head and said, I didn't understand. Every visit after that had the same heaviness. She never told me what was really weighing on her. I could tell it wasn't just about me being locked up. But whatever it was, she kept it to herself. Still, her visits were what kept me going. Seeing her smile, even if it was forced, reminded me that I still had something to live for outside those walls. Then came the day I was released. That morning, everything looked brighter. The air even smelled different. I threw my bag over my shoulder and walked through the gates. Madison pulled up in her car and I ran to her. She looked amazing. I grabbed her, kissed her, told her how much I missed her. She laughed and kissed me back. On the way home, I asked if we could stop by her mom's place. I hadn't had a real meal in 7 months, and her mom's food was the best, especially her cornbread. Madison paused and said, "Why don't we just stop at a fast food place instead?" That stung a little. I hadn't worked in months, didn't have much money, and I knew Madison had been doing everything alone. But I had really been craving something warm and home-cooked. She said she could cook for me at home. It felt like she was avoiding the topic. I asked again if everything was all right. She said yes, but her voice cracked. So I asked, "Then why can't we go to your mom's house?" She let out a deep sigh and said we needed to talk. I braced myself. She told me that ever since I got charged, her family gave her an ultimatum: choose them or me. Her parents saw me as violent since the court had ruled against me. Even though she told them what really happened, they believed the judge over their own daughter. I asked her why her family would do that, why they didn't believe her. She said they thought I wasn't protecting her, that maybe I had been drunk and started the fight. I asked what she did when they told her all this, and she started to cry. She said she chose me. That's what she had been carrying all this time. That's what she never told me during those visits. We pulled over, and she let it all out. For months, she'd been living alone, scraping by, dealing with the fallout while I was locked up. I asked her why she never told me. She said she didn't want me to worry, that I had enough to deal with. She was right. There wasn't much I could have done back then except sit and stress. But now I was out. I was here. And I was going to make good on my promise. I held her close and told her everything would be all right. I switched seats with her so she could calm down, and I drove us the rest of the way home. A few months later, things were finally starting to feel normal again. We were having a quiet game night, just the two of us. Madison's favorite game had always been Uno. Her family used to play it for hours, sometimes into the early morning. That night, we were playing and laughing like old times. I hit her with a draw 4, and instead of groaning or laughing, she looked like she was going to cry. She didn't say anything at first. Then a single tear rolled down her cheek. I put my cards down and went to her. She said she missed her family. She said I was enough that she loved me, but she had never gone this long without talking to them. Playing Uno reminded her of them. I asked if she wanted to try reaching out again. She hesitated. Said she didn't know if they'd even speak to her. She just wanted them to believe her. I said she wouldn't know until she tried. She didn't seem hopeful, but she agreed to think about it. The next day I made the call. Her dad didn't answer, so I called her mom. She picked up, asked who it was. The moment I said my name, she hung up. I called back and asked for 30 seconds of her time. She told me to make it quick. I told her how Madison had been feeling, how much she missed them, how she wanted to repair things. Her mom said that if I was part of Madison's life, they wanted nothing to do with either of us. She called me abusive, said she was scared to be in the same room as me. I didn't argue. I didn't try to defend myself. I told her I wouldn't be involved if that's what it took. I said Madison needed this, that they were still her family, and this was about her, not me. She paused. Then she said she missed her daughter. That's when I suggested meeting in a public place. A park, daylight, plenty of people around. She agreed, but only because it was public and safe. Before she hung up, she made one last jab, saying, I probably didn't know what it felt like to have people fear you. I let it go. This was about Madison, not me. We picked a day and time, and I hung up and rushed to tell Madison the news. She looked nervous. Said she didn't know what to say. I told her the words would come when she was ready. The day of the meetup came, and Madison looked like she was holding her breath the entire ride to the park. I had picked up lunch for the three of us, hoping that something familiar like sharing a meal might ease the tension. She stared out the window, the whole drive barely speaking, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. When we arrived, I turned to her and said, No matter how this goes, you're going to be okay. She nodded, wiped her hands on her jeans, and we walked toward the park table where her mom was already waiting. The energy shifted immediately. Her mom greeted us both, though it was clear she was more enthusiastic about seeing Madison than me. I understood. I kept quiet and respectful. We all sat down, and I laid out the food. For a few minutes, we just ate in silence. Then her mom finally spoke. So, what really happened that night? She asked, not looking at me. I took a breath and explained everything again, this time in more detail. It was just a regular summer party that our friend throws every year. When we got there, this guy started hitting on Madison. I told him to leave her alone and thought that was the end of it. Later, Madison and I went to a closet room to be alone. I stepped out to use the bathroom. When I came back, I walked in on that same guy trying to force himself on her. She was pushing him off, and I lost it. I hit him. more than once. And we left the party right after told the host what had happened. I stopped there. I didn't want to say too much or exaggerate. Just the facts. Her mom turned to Madison. Is that true? Madison nodded, her voice soft. Yes. He saved me that night. I don't even want to think about what could have happened if he didn't come back when he did. Her mom sat in silence for a while, and I could see the conflict on her face. She still looked unsure. Then Madison spoke again. The guy you should have been afraid of wasn't him, it was the one at the party. I tried to tell you, but you didn't believe me. Her voice cracked and tears welled up in her eyes. I didn't lie. I never lied. Her mom looked away for a moment, clearly struggling. Then she placed a hand over her mouth and started crying. My baby. My poor baby, she whispered. I'm so sorry. She looked over at me next. And I'm sorry to you too. I shouldn't have judged you based on what others said. I let fear and gossip make me believe the worst. She admitted she had listened to people who didn't know the full story. People who assumed I was dangerous just because of the charges. She said she felt ashamed that she hadn't been there for her daughter and that she let her live alone, struggling for months. Madison cried harder. When her mom tried to comfort her, she gently pulled away. I understand, her mom said quietly. I know I don't deserve forgiveness right away. But I want to try. If you'll let me. She looked at me again, searching my face for approval. I stayed quiet and just nodded toward Madison. It's her choice. Madison, still in my arms, said through tears that she didn't know how long it would take to fully forgive, but she was open to trying. Her voice shook, but she meant it. She wanted her family back. We left the park quietly. On the way home, we didn't say much, just held hands and let the silence settle over us. It wasn't awkward. It was peaceful, like we were both finally letting go of a weight we had been carrying for too long. Months after that meeting, things began to shift. We were invited back to her parents' house. The first time we walked in, I was hit with the smell of her mom's famous cornbread baking in the oven. It was the same scent that had made me miss their home all those months ago. Dinner was warm and filled with small talk. Everyone was being polite. You could tell the energy was still a little fragile, like walking across a bridge that had just been repaired. But it held. After we ate, her dad pulled out a deck of Uno cards. That was their thing. They used to play for hours late into the night. We all sat at the table again, me, Madison, her parents, and played like old times. There was laughter, teasing. For a moment, it felt like nothing had ever happened, but I could see it in Madison. She was still on edge. She smiled, but her shoulders stayed tense. She looked at her mom like she was still waiting for another betrayal, and I didn't blame her. How could you forget the feeling of being abandoned when you needed your parents most? Still, she was trying, and so were they. That night when we got home, Madison said she felt like things were starting to heal. Not completely, but enough to keep going. I don't think I'll ever trust them the same way again, she told me. But maybe we can find a new kind of relationship. That stuck with me. Sometimes forgiveness isn't about returning to how things were. It's about building something new on top of the broken pieces. Thank you for listening to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Also, leave a comment below to share your thoughts on what happened. Take care.